out with me.
All right.
Nothing, that's why I'm here.
Next up, we're going to have Michael Bor, CEO of Carlotz. Michael recently launched Carlotz maybe 2 years ago. And has recently started a franchise down here in the region. So we've been connecting with him a lot. That car right there is about to get sold. Carlotz is also selling a BMW today that he drove in. You guys wanted, it's about $7 grand. So it's Carlotz is a consignment shop for used cars. Really great stuff. Lots of great inventory. But he's going to tell you about his entrepreneurial journey. Get in here.
Thank you, Zach. Thanks, guys. First of all, how many people have a car? Raise your hand. Good, Zach, you were right. Everybody drives here. Thank you. Good audience. So, if you have pen and paper or just in your head, write down the number that you think your car's worth. Just write it down. And then I'll give you a second to do that. And then when you've done that, below that number, write the number that you think a dealer would offer you for that car. Okay? And then above your first number, so there are going to be 3 numbers in a row. The middle number will be what you think your car's worth. The bottom number is what you think a dealer would give you. And then the top number, write what you think a dealer would sell your car to you for, or ask for it. So there are 3 numbers. If you subtracted the bottom number from the top number, what are you getting? Just throw out your answer for top number minus bottom number. 3,500. 6 grand.
9,000.
9,000. Yeah, we've seen that number be anywhere from 2,500 at the very low end to 9,000 at the top end, and I'm sure it goes up from there. And that's really what our business does, is it takes advantage of that huge gap between what a dealer would offer you and what a dealer would sell that car to you for, and it gives that value back to the customer. And it enables customers to get those values in between without going through the hassles that are consistent with everybody's view of this private market where you can get that number. The number you initially wrote down, that value that's, that you think it's worth, that's not the value. I mean, the value of your car, it's a used car, is really whatever anyone will pay you for it. And if you don't do a very good job of selling it, or if you just want to take it to the dealer, the value is really what that bottom number is. And if you're professional at selling a vehicle, if you're a retailer, then the value is closer to that top number. And it's really how good are you at selling your car? That'll determine where on this spectrum you fall. So that's our business. 2 years ago we started this. It's a consignment store for cars. Our customers come and they drop their cars off with us because they're not satisfied with the dealer trade-in offer. They'd rather have the retail number or even a private market number, but they're not willing to go through all the work and hassle and potential danger of dealing with strangers to get a number that they think their car's worth. And so we do all the work for them, and then we cut them a check for the real value of their car, what it actually sold for, less our fee once it sells. And often our customers are ending up with $6,000, $7,000 more than their trade-in number, and they don't have to do any work. And so that's what we thought would happen, and so far it's working. We've been doing this for 2 years. The purpose of what I'm talking about today, though, is not really about my business. It's more about this whole concept of MVP. Everybody talks about. What's the minimum viable product that you can put out there? And a lot of people talk about it. We actually lived it. I was an investment banker for many years, and one day, well, for many years, I just knew I wanted to have my own business. And so one day it just hit me. I need to leave and I need to go do it. It's not getting any easier to do that. So I left and I started writing a business plan. And I was an investment banker that was, I worked at a firm where we did $100 million to $1 billion deals. So those are the number of zeros that I was accustomed to. And so when I came up with my business plan, I wrote a bunch of stuff down. I said, well, we'll need to go buy space, $3 million, and we'll need to put $500,000. I called a technology firm, a big one. I said, how much would it be to build this product I want to build? And they said $500,000. I wrote that down. I said, marketing, $500,000. How much would we lose before we broke even? $500,000. I wanted a service and parts operation too. I thought that would be part of the whole offering, $500,000. And then I just put a couple $1 million into a bucket because I didn't know what we need. So I got to $7 million really quick. And I pulled a whole business plan together, and it did sound like a lot of money to me. I mean, I don't have $7 million, but it's a lot of money, but it didn't sound like a lot of money to raise to start a business that I thought was as big as what we wanted to do. So pulled a business plan together and started talking to investors, and investors loved the concept. They loved that we're attacking a market that's very large at 40 million used cars that are sold every year. It's very inefficient. There are 50,000 dealers that sell cars in the U.S. The largest by far is CarMax, and they only do 2% of the business in the country. And so when you think about any retail segment, there are two champions that own the market, Walmart and Target, Home Depot and Lowe's. In the auto retail space, there's CarMax, 2% of the market, and then 50,000 dealers that are the other 98% of the market. So it's horrendously inefficient. People aren't served well. Nobody trusts car dealers. It's not a profession you want to go into. You're not proud to tell your mom you're a car dealer, unfortunately, yet. And so, we just felt like there was a lot of opportunity there, and investors agreed. And then when we flipped to the page, it said $7 million, and this is what we're going to use it for. You'd get a lot of, ooh, wow, I wasn't thinking that. And so we got a lot of, lukewarm feedback on that. Everybody really liked the concept, and one guy in particular who we spoke to said, go back, just cut it bare bones, go back and come back to me, because I like the idea. So I went back to the drawing board, I took out the parts and service, I said, let's not buy a place, let's lease a place, let's cut down the size of the operation. So I went back, I got it down to $4 million. And I went back, and this one investor in particular, said, you're still not even close. And so what I really got to learn from this process is, what were we trying to do? What were we trying to do by raising money? And what we were trying to do is we were trying to prove that this concept worked. So what do we actually need to just prove that people will drop their vehicles off with us, that we can market them well and sell them and make them a lot more money? What do we really need for that? A car lot. Yeah. So we went back to the drawing board. We went back with an ask of $500,000. And now, 2 years later, that actually seems like a lot of money. Back then, it didn't. I was thinking, how could I possibly do this for $500,000? So we were successful. We raised $500,000 in April of 2011. April of 2011. And we got started. We sat in one of our investors' offices, and we said, okay, what do we need? We need to go find some space. We found some space. Space cost us $3,000 a month, so it wasn't a lot. And we said, how do we get our initial inventory? We called our friends and family, and we begged them to leave their cars with us, and they did, some of them. And so when we opened on June 1, we had 13 cars in our lot, and we called the newspaper and we said, we got this new business and we raised money locally, and we'd like you to come out and check it out. And the local press came out and they did an article on us, and it was kind of interesting. We created content for them. We wrote articles and let them put their name on it, and so we got a lot of free marketing. So the $500,000 bucket that I allotted to marketing was zero, because we were in the paper like 15 times in our first couple months, and everybody knew about us, and then people started coming, and they learned very quickly that I could drop my.
Can I ask how much of your own money did you put into that $500,000?
$35,000. So I raised. What was important to me, because a lot of these guys there were investors and people who invested for a living, but most of the people were my friends, and I sat down with each one of them that wanted to invest, and I said, the second you give me this money, I want you to just consider it lost. It was just taking other people's money is like the scariest thing that I've done since I left my old job. Losing my friends' money, losing my family's money, it's not an option. And so I took $35,000 chunks, which for many investors didn't want to participate. It wasn't enough for them to get interested. But I took $35,000 from enough people that the sum was $525. It was 15 people. And $35,000 is a lot of money. So put that in there. And so we got started, and from a technology perspective, I had $500,000 in the initial budget. We paid a guy a couple grand to build our website. So we basically got up and running to a point of making money as a business, and profitable, not just revenue, for less than $100,000. And it was great. We're like, wow, we're doing it. We're doing it on not the $7 million, not the $4 million, not even the $500,000 that we raised, but we just made a profitable business from less than 100. And then we were saying, man, I wish we hadn't raised any money. I wish we had just gone out there and done it, taken my 35, maybe borrowed 65 grand and started it. And so it taught us a lot about the whole concept of MVP and starting as small as possible. And then we really started learning a lot about the business. Then it was like, okay, well, one little lot works, but that's not that interesting to us. I mean, we believe this concept is bigger than car. We believe this concept can have 1,000 stores, 5,000 stores. It can be the predominant way that people buy and sell cars in the country, because frankly, it's the best. You get more money, you don't have to do any of the work, you get the actual value of your car. Why wouldn't you do this? The only reason you take your car to a dealer on trade-in is because you don't want to deal with strangers in the Walmart parking lot. You don't want to go through that hassle. But you don't trade in your car because you want to give some dealer $3,000. That's not why you do it. You do it because you value your time more than that. So our business works, and it makes people a lot of money, and people enjoy the concept, and they enjoy the experience of coming to us. We built a lot of things into the model that make it a very comfortable place to shop. We make the same amount of money on every single car. It's a flat fee. So when a buyer comes into our store and says, I want to buy an SUV, we don't really care which SUV they buy. Frankly, we ask them why they want to buy an SUV, and sometimes they actually don't want to buy an SUV. They just thought they did. I don't really care if they buy a Maserati, which we have on the lot, or a $2,000 Ford Focus, which we have on the lot. For me, each car on our lot is a customer. It's a customer relationship. And so, I don't want to sell one car over another, and that makes buyers feel very comfortable. And we can downsell, which doesn't happen in a dealership. We've had people come and say, Navy Federal gave me this $20,000 check to buy a car. Well, what are you using a car for? Well, I just go back and forth to work, and then, well, how about this $8,000 car? That actually works. Okay, so your loan is now $16,000 less, and you've got the car that you really needed. So that doesn't happen in a traditional dealership, but it happens at car lots. So anyway, so we started this business, and we learned a lot from our customers. We started listening. Some customers use you and only say nice things because they know you're a small business, and then some customers just complain about everything. And then some people are in the middle where they like the experience, but they have some positive feedback. And we actually like the second two, the people who hate everything and the people who provide you feedback. It's nice to get the positive feedback, but you don't learn anything from it. So very quickly we got feedback like, when you sell my car, I don't really want to wait 10 days for that check. I kind of want it the next day, or even that day. Or when I buy a car from you, I don't want to wait 30 days until my temp tag expires for you to get me my plates. I kind of want those plates soon. I start getting nervous as time goes by. So we said, okay, this is speed and the process and the experience for the customer is the most important thing that we offer. All we are is a service business. That's all we are. We don't have inventory. We don't manufacture anything. When I say we don't have inventory, we don't own any of the inventory. All the cars on our lot are given to us by our customers. So all we are is people who are creating an experience for our customers. And so that's where we wanted to spend our money. So the remaining money that we had, we hired somebody to be able to cut checks very quickly when a car sold, and to do the title work very quickly like a traditional dealership when a car sold. And then we had people that said, well, I really like the concept, but I have to drive my car. I can't leave it on your lot. Well, that's interesting, so we hadn't thought of that. We hadn't thought of that as a solution that we needed to come up with, but we did. So now about 10% of our business is people who drop their car off for a day, we clean it, photograph it, inspect it, then they pick it up, and then we set up appointments for them. So they can still sell their car through our service, they don't need to leave the car on their lot. And then we had people who said, well, I like this car on your lot, and I've got this trade-in, and I need some of the money from my trade-in to help me buy this car that So we created a trade-in program where we give, it's basically you come to us if you're buying a $10,000 car, and CarMax is willing to give you $10,000. If you're buying a $20,000 car from us, CarMax is willing to give you $10,000 for your trade-in. We'll give you $8,000 for your trade-in, and then we'll sell your car. And when it sells, we'll give you the rest. So you're not just taking a trade-in number. We're not taking the risk that a traditional dealer does by giving you a full trade-in number, but you're getting the full value of your car once it sells. So instead of trading your car in at CarMax for 10, we're giving you 8 today, and then when it sells for 14, we give you the other 6. So we came up with a trade-in program. And then people said, buyers said, your cars aren't clean enough. So we started offering a detail service to our sellers. And the buyers were saying, I'm in Michigan and I like this car, but there are only 15 pictures. I need more pictures. So we trained all our people on taking better pictures and focusing on all the faults of a car and really getting the full picture, because the last thing we want to do is sell a car and have it be a surprise to someone when it shows up. So we started really listening to the customer and going through and thinking about, how are we going to, now that we know all we are is a customer service business, and all we do is provide a service and an experience, how do we just focus all of our resources on making sure that experience is the best it can be? And so what we realized is we're just an HR organization, we're just people. So let's focus on hiring and training and then retaining our talent. And so that's what we do. We're just a people business. We have people, we have young people. We don't have people who have been used car dealers for 30 years and sit out front in a trench coat with a cigar. We're just guys out of college. We've got people who are teachers, we have people who are counselors, but we're just all people who like cars and like customer service. And so we find good people, we train them, and we make the job fun and rewarding so that they stay. Go ahead.
What part of your budget is going towards advertising and Google AdWords? How are you getting your name out there, and what's your advertising strategy?
It's a great question. We about 85% of our business is referral or repeat business. So when someone uses us, when someone goes to CarMax and they get an $8,000 offer, and then 3 weeks later we cut them a check for 12, not only have we given them a lot of money, a lot more money, but we've made them feel smart. They've outsmarted a dealer. And so when they're at the cocktail party that weekend and they're talking, and car conversations come up all the time, they're going to tell everybody they know. I'm not going to take that stupid dealer offer. And dealers aren't there to rip you off. They're giving you that number because they're taking the risk of that vehicle. They lose a lot of money on some cars, so they have to make a lot of money on the others. We don't lose money on any car because we don't own any car. We only ever make money. And so the money we make can be a lot less than a traditional dealer. So anyway, we said we want our eventual marketing budget to be 0. We want our people to be our evangelists. So again, it just speaks to focusing on the service. But we do spend money. We have an ad, we have a radio campaign. We're going to be testing TV a little bit. But we spend $5,000 a month on marketing. Nothing our marketing guy wants us to spend 10 times that. He says it will blow up in a good way our business. But then we'd rather grow by you using us and telling everybody you know. And frankly, the studies show that people are in the car market every 3 to 5 years. So a traditional dealer's tenure at a dealership is less than that. So a traditional dealer doesn't really have to focus on your experience because he's never going to see you again at that dealership, and then he has to work hard for his next customer. So we've been when we were in business for 12 months, we were already getting repeat business, and now that we've been in business for 18 months, it's about 15%. Almost 20% of our business is repeat business. So people are shopping for their car maybe once every 3 to 5 years, but people have control over many more than just one car. So you have a great experience, your loved one, your child, your partner, whatever, wants to buy or sell a car, someone who trusts you wants to buy or sell a car, you become a repeat business very quickly. But yeah, we do Google AdWords. That's been a big part of what we do. Search engine optimization is a big part of what we do, and just creating a lot of content that makes us relevant to folks. Putting ourselves out there as a trusted, as people's car guy, and that's what early on we wanted to be. Some people have, oh, I've got a mechanic, I've got a car guy. We wanted to be people's car guy, someone they trust. Who's not going to lead them astray, whose motivations aren't to get as much money from them as possible or sell them something they don't want to buy. Our motivations are to make sure you have a good experience so you can tell all your friends.
I don't know if you're ready for the questions.
No, go ahead. It's good.
You know, bringing up CarMax, in Richmond you're on the Auto Mile, and in Chesapeake you're on the Auto Mile. Have you had any interactions with all these other dealers, and what do they think about your model?
Yeah, I mean, you know, very early on, we said we're not going to sell against dealers. We're not going to tell people that they make less money at a dealer, they make more money with us. We say it now a little bit more, but you know, we wanted to sell our positive. Everybody knows the experience they've had with the traditional dealer, so we don't have to touch on that. All we have to do is sell the positives of what we are. And so early on when we were starting the business, we went around to all the dealers, big dealer groups in town, and we just told them what we were doing. And you know, we were just three guys with an idea, a PowerPoint deck, and nobody's really that threatened, nor should they be. It's a very large market that has room for a lot of competitors. Like I said, there are 50,000 dealers in the U.S. And so we just wanted to be everyone's friend, and it worked. I mean, you know, we get 10 or 15 cars a month referred to us from other dealers. The ones who get it, you know, who understand the concept and understand why it's valuable. If you're a valued customer at the Mercedes dealer and you're going to buy your brand new Mercedes and you've got a Honda Accord that you want to trade in, they're going to say, the ones that we're friends with, they're going to say, listen, you know, obviously we're not selling a Honda Accord on this Mercedes lot, but we can give you $3,000 for it, or you could go to the Carlotz guys, they could probably sell it for $7,000. And it's just a customer service move for them. And so, you know, the higher end dealers refer us business. Lexus, Volvo, Mercedes, BMW send us a decent chunk of business. The lower end guys tend to hire lower end, you know, really kind of coarse salespeople, and those guys don't do anything. CarMax, I know they know about us. We're, you know, CarMax founded and is headquartered in Richmond. Frankly, being in Richmond was a big part of how we got started. We, you know, wrote the business plan, and then I reached out to the founders, early investors in CarMax, and sat down with them and walked through the business plan. And they're all now, you know, long since retired from that business and are just generally supportive of entrepreneurship. So they were very helpful in us building the plan. The beauty of the market, again, though, is that it's so big, and so, you know, if overnight we became 10 times the size of CarMax, if we sold 5 million, they sell 500,000 cars a year. If we were 10 times their size, we'd sell 5 million cars a year. We'd be 20% of the market, and there'd still be 80% left. So it's that big, you know, we fundamentally feel like we're providing a different service. So anyway, you know, I guess the whole point of this is, you know, we thought we'd need 7 million, then we thought we'd need 4 million, then we settled on 500,000, and then we actually really only needed 100,000. We ended up raising another $1.5 million to fund our expansion and to build out some of the technology, but only after we realized that it was working at some level. And we're not out of the woods yet. We haven't proven to be a success or proven to be a failure yet, but we will do one or the other at some point soon, and that's when hopefully people will be talking about us.
Briefly, talking about the capital that you raised and being able to scale that back, while you're on that point, it might be helpful to myself and folks in this room to talk about unforeseen expenses. I mean, you've got a pretty straightforward business model, and I'm sure that has really helped in a lot of ways. But, you know, once you get in there, I mean, you know you're going to need marketing and payroll, but what can you advise on that came out of, you know, where you didn't think about it?
Yeah, you know, I would say the biggest expense for us was because we're a new business and didn't really know what we were doing, was fixing mistakes from a customer service perspective. You know, we paid out, and not huge dollars, but you know, we sold a guy a car that we didn't get inspected accidentally. It just fell through the cracks, and when he got it, it wasn't what we thought. And so now we have a whole new process of making sure that doesn't happen, but that cost us money. You know, we've titled cars incorrectly, and we've had to fix those mistakes. So you know, it's very difficult to say, well, you know, what can you not expect, because you're not going to expect it. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it hurts. Like when, you know, when you have to buy a $10,000 car back and you know it's not worth that, it's the right thing to do. And that we always err on, you know, what's the right thing to do? If we were the customer, what would we want this business to do? And that's painful, but that, I mean, that's been a big it's probably been $40,000, $50,000 of fixing our mistakes. But fortunately, you know, a lot of mistakes we can fix for free, and we still make a lot of mistakes. We're still learning as we go. But that's probably been the biggest. You know, everything else, you know, we were fortunate. The reason we were able to raise the $1.5 million in the second round was when we put a deck in front of the initial investors, we were very realistic. And so this P&L, this fictitious P&L that we came up with, it was in a PowerPoint deck for a business that nobody's ever done before. It was actually almost to the penny, like it was spot on. So when we went back, I said, remember what we told you we'd do a year ago? Well, we're actually doing it. And so that enabled us to, but to come up with this fictional P&L, we were very conservative with a lot of the numbers we put in there. And that's why we had 500,000 as our need versus 100.
Michael, first of all, thanks for coming down from Richmond. It's good to hear you down here as well. You know, one of the things that I work with different clients on, well, you know, we do a lot in terms of insurance and risk management, but also I've helped a few people in terms of valuation. And there's always a question there in terms of if I give up, you know, if I need to raise this amount of money, how much of my company will I need to give up? And, you know, and there's different ways to do that through discounted cash flow and comparables and so forth. But I'm just wondering what your experience was when you were sitting down, once you got past your group of friends and were talking with people, maybe it was in that next round with $1.5 million, what did those conversations look like and what were the real numbers that they were focused on?
It's a great question. Until you're a cash flowing business, there's no valuation. There's no way to do it. And so you have to sell like hell. You have to be an awesome salesperson. And you have to sell the opportunity. And the more quantitative you get, in my opinion, the worse off you'll be. Because any good investor will be able to poke holes in any calculation that you as a non-cash flowing business come up with. So, you know, we could have said there are 40 million used cars sold every year. We're going to take 0.01% of that. And then as soon as you start doing that, well, what if you don't take 0.01%? What if you do this? Versus what we did was, this is a huge market. We're really excited about what we can do there. We think the feedback will be great. We think this is, you know, the type of business we're going to build. And here's the opportunity from a very qualitative perspective. And then, you know, one piece of advice we got was that, you know, those first round guys want 20% of your business. So we just kind of backed into what that means. We needed 500,000. So we said, you can have 20% of our business for 500,000. And then we created this opportunity that we thought, you know, would be worth it. And then we hoped that it was. And you don't, you know, you just need first round investors, angel investors. They're probably less focused on valuation than the next round. But then the next round, because we had done everything that we wanted to do, we said, you know, you guys, because it was mostly the same investors in the second round, so you guys were in at 500,000 and a, you know, $2.5 million valuation, and that was a PowerPoint presentation that you invested in. And now we have a store, and we have customers, and we're making money, and so now we feel our valuation is, you know, four times that. And some people said, you're crazy. But enough people said you don't have to value yourself at the lowest valuation guy. You just have to value yourself somewhere in the middle where you can get as much money as you need. And so that if nobody says you're crazy, then you're undervaluing yourself. Several people have to say you're nuts, and then you have to successfully close that round, and then you know that you're probably priced well. But yeah, there's no math. You know, I'm an investment banker, so like all I did for the first 10 years of my career, 15 years of my career, was value businesses and sell them. Those were all cash flowing businesses. Very easy to do that. You know, how much is this company making? What are the multiples in this industry? Here's the value of this business. It's easy. With a startup, it's not. It's who are the people? You know, what's the opportunity? What's the competition look like? how executable is this? How likely is it to grow once it gets off the ground? It's all these softer, qualitative aspects that drive valuation, and so that's what we kind of took advantage of. Every single one of our investors would say that they invested in the team, in their confidence in our ability to execute, and that's flattering. I mean, I wish they invested in the idea. But that's not. There are lots of ideas out there. Any other questions?
You mentioned Michigan, and when we were talking earlier, you said you're going around. So can you talk about how far away your customers? How does that work?
So we, all of the cars that we sell are on AutoTraderCars.com, Craigslist, everywhere. And so these days, people buy cars from anywhere, and so we sell cars to whoever will buy cars from us. So we've shipped cars to Australia several times, motorcycles to Australia. We've sent cars to Afghanistan and Eastern Russia, all over the place. Most of our cars obviously are sold domestically, but all over the place. Where we really want to tap in is sellers from all over the place. So people have shipped us cars to sell for them from Seattle, San Francisco, LA, and Miami, and Boston. Because believe it or not, it costs $900 to ship a car from California to here to us. Our fee is about $900. So that's $1,800. You guys all told me that the difference between trading and retail is somewhere between 3 and 6. So even after all those fees, you're still making more money. And so there's so many different types of customers. We've had someone in California, in Northern California, lost their husband, car sitting in the driveway. They didn't want to think about it. They Googled, how do I get rid of my car? And somehow, I don't know how, but Carlotz in Richmond, Virginia showed up in a Google search in San Francisco, and she called and she said, I just don't want to deal with this car. Can you just sell it for me? And so I said, well, we're in Virginia, but yeah, we'll go pick it up. So we sent the truck, $100. So she wasn't going for the value. She was going for this is a painful thing for me. I just want to get off my. We had a guy who had a very high-end sports car, and he got a $60,000 offer from his dealer in Seattle, and he called us, and he's a finance guy, and he's a numbers guy, and he said, I think this car's worth more than 60. What do you think it's worth? I said, probably 79, 82. I said, come get it, show me the money. So we picked up his car, we sold it for 79, the low end of the range, we said. He paid like $1,000 because it was enclosed to ship it to us, another 800, 900 for our fee. And he made a lot of money. And what's interesting is the buyer of that car, so he sent it to us from Seattle. The buyer of that car was in LA. So it got shipped to Richmond, Virginia to be sold to LA. And the buyer was shopping for those cars, and the retailers were trying to sell him the exact same car for $85,000 to $90,000. So that's what we're solving for, is this huge delta between the trade-in and the retail, and it works at every level. If you go to CarMax and you get a $400 offer from your car, I'm pretty sure we can sell it for $2,400. And our fee will eat into a big portion of that, but you'll still end up with 3 times as much as your CarMax offer. And for, not for that guy who had that sports car, but for most of America, an extra $2,000 is maybe a mortgage payment or 2, or a vacation with a family. It's a lot of money. And why give that money to a dealer when it's your money? One interesting thing we've done recently, which I'm really proud of and excited about, is this program called the Vehicle for Change. A lot of the best cars on our lot are left to us by the wealthiest of our customers. And those are customers who, maybe they know us, maybe they're friends with our investors, but they value, they're frugal, essentially, and that's why they're so wealthy. And we realize we're not reaching a lot of these guys, but $3,000 to $5,000 is not a ton of money for these people who are, in the wealthiest class. But they recognize that $3,000 to $5,000 is a lot of money for a charitable organization. So we're partnering with charitable organizations. So they're marketing this service. So our first one is the World Pediatric Project in Richmond. We're doing CHKD here in the program. So it's going to be marketed through them. So how you go to the Mercedes dealer to buy your new $60,000 car, they give you a $10,000 offer on your old car. You call us, you say, hey, Checkered Flag just gave me a $10,000 offer, my car is sitting here. We'll go pick it up, we'll go sell it, maybe for 14. We'll cut you your check for 10, which is what you were gonna get anyway. And you tell me where you want your money, the rest of your money to go. So we get our $900, you get 10, like you were gonna get. It's $3,100. It goes to World Pediatric Project. You get it. In addition to your 10, you get a letter saying you just donated $3,100. So you're actually really getting like 11.5. And World Pediatric Project in Richmond with $3,100 can send a doctor down to Belize and save 2 kids' lives. So okay, you can trade in your car, or you can save 2 kids' lives and still get your trade. So you know, there are little aspects of this business model that are kind of cool, and we're developing it as we go. And it's wild. I mean, you know, there's just a lot of money. You know, there's a lot of money involved. It's 40 million cars, $3,000 that a dealer is taking per car. That's like $1.2 billion or something. That's per year. So I don't even know if I did the math right, but there are a lot of zeros. So I don't know. It's been a lot of fun. Any other questions? Thanks, guys.
Oh, sorry. I didn't get
sure.
to ask, but who are the people that usually buy your like who sell? I don't know if you really went over it. Like sell their cars.
Anybody?
Well, like are they primarily because they want to trade up, or is it like people are really hurting for money, or they want a new change of car?
It's literally everybody. So it's that woman who lost her husband. It's someone who's buying a car for their kid because they're turning 16. It's someone who's buying their $60,000 dream sports car. It's someone who's has a car, is trading in. So I mean, if you look at our inventory, we currently have I think 220 cars across our 3 lots. You'll see a Ford Taurus with 400,000 miles on it. We work with companies that have fleets, so this was a delivery vehicle. It's not even that old a car; it just has Ford Taurus that has 400,000 miles. That's like $2 grand. We have $102,000 cars. We have Lexus, Mercedes, anything you want, it's there.
My brother-in-law lives in Richmond, where these guys started, and he did 2 transactions with him because he had the wrong kind of car, so he sold them. He had a pickup and he didn't need it anymore, vice versa. So he sold his pickup and then he didn't.
My favorite story, if you'll indulge me, this woman came in, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, she had a $20,000 pre-approved loan check, and she said, I saw this Honda Pilot at the Honda dealer. I like it. Just want to come by here, heard about your business. We said, well, what are you using this car for? Well, I actually live out in Hopewell, and I commute into the city. It's a 70-mile commute each way. Do you have kids, or do you haul stuff? Or why do you need a Honda Pilot? Well, I guess I don't need a Honda Pilot. I just always thought they were nice. I said, well, Honda Pilot gets, 14 miles per gallon or 18 miles per gallon. Well, how about what about a BMW 3 Series, like an older one with some mileage? Well, I could never drive a BMW. Well, what if I saw one that was $4,000? It's a 96, only has 100,000 miles on it, but it's only $4,000. Well, I always wanted a BMW. Can I see it? So she saw it. She loved it. She had a Saturn minivan that she was trading in, and the Honda dealer was gonna give her $3,000 for it. She bought the BMW, consigned her Saturn minivan, which we sold for $7,000. So she made more in her trade-in than the cost of the car we put her in. So not only did she not use this $20,000 check, but she had money in her pocket. So that's a broad range of the customer that we're dealing with.
That's awesome. I was really primarily like step 1, step 2 question was like, have you heard of like there's like title swaps? Have you heard about that? Like where people are just not like bored with their car or something like that?
Yeah.
So really something like your business is really awesome for that. Like you have all these people that just want a new change or a new different car. So have you investigated into anything like that?
It's a great point. Several of our investors, people who are car guys, are like, this is great. I can have a convertible in the summer. I can have an SUV in the winter. I can have that, BMW I always wanted, and then sell it real fast after I use it for a little bit, because the transaction cost of getting in and out of a car is no longer $3,000 to $5,000. It's $898. So all of a sudden, I've had personally, I'm a power user of our service. I probably have a new car every month or so. I'm a car guy, and and there are people who have bought cars from us and sold them and made money. You know, if you can buy well, you're buying from a private user, the price of that car is whatever you're willing to pay for it, and then you sell it. And so we've had that, and that's frankly probably why we've seen so much repeat business, is people no longer have this fear of this process where they're going to be buying at retail and selling at wholesale over and over and losing that massive amount of money every time there's a transaction.
I definitely see something like your service as somewhere between Zipcar and like what awesome like kind of thing, and like
Yeah.
it's really changing the way like how you think about owning a car ownership.
Yeah, that's exactly, you know, for the consumer, that's what we're doing. We, you know, another kind of unique strand of the business is we work with small mom and pop rental car companies. So a cool dynamic in the rental car business is that Enterprise and Hertz kill it because they have the scale to have their own retail operations. So they buy at auction or new, they rent out the car while it's renting, and then when they want to sell it, they have their own retail store, so they can sell it retail. So they make that $3,000 to $5,000 on the wholesale to retail, and they're renting the car while it's for sale. Well, if you're a mom and pop rental car business, all you can do is rent the car. You buy it wholesale, and you sell it wholesale, and you rent because you don't have the scale. So in Richmond, we've got a rental car company that they buy a car at wholesale, they list it with us as soon as they buy it, and they rent it. And then when we have interest in that car, and it's disclosed it's a rental car, so some people don't mind buying rental cars, some do. But when we have interest in that car, they pull it out of their fleet, they bring it over, we sell it, and they make $3,000, and that would take them probably 3 months of $20 a day rentals to make that. So all of a sudden we've taken this small mom and pop car rental business, and we've given him the scale advantage of an Enterprise or a Hertz. So that's kind of cool. So, you know, all these, you know, different, I don't know, it's just been a really interesting market to be in. Try to develop new products for people based on the core concept of consignment.
I have a question. You said you're a customer service company. You're not a car dealer. So you're selling everything as is. You're taking none of the responsibility for if somebody's, you know, trying to sell a pump.
No, not really. I mean, our view is that we need to empower people to do their own diligence. So if you go to CarMax and buy a car, they're going to give you a 3-day money-back guarantee. And then after that, there's a warranty that you need to buy, and that costs money. Or they put it on there, but you're actually paying for it anyway. And you haven't done any work. You haven't taken that car to your own mechanic. And that's.
But you're providing no service, you're not warranting the vehicles at all.
We add that on if that's important to the buyer. They pay for it, so it's all a la carte. So when you go to CarMax and you buy a car for $20,000 and it comes with a 3-day money-back guarantee, that actually costs them, you know, on that car probably $400. And then if you tack on a 3-year or they include that, you know, that probably costs them $3,000. So you're really buying what is essentially a $17,000 car. Well, that $17,000 car will sell to you for $14,000 because that's the private market value of that car. And then if you want to add a warranty, we can sell you this product. And so all of a sudden you're at $17,000.
So you are selling warranties too?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And more than that, we want you to take it to a mechanic you trust. I mean, we highly recommend that, whether you're buying a car from us or anybody. Because as soon as CarMax has bought that car or they've gone to auction and they bought this car, they own it. So they take it to their shop and their mechanic says, "Ooh, there's a leak in the radiator." Well, if you're buying a car with a leak in the radiator, you probably want the radiator replaced. If you own a car with a leak in the radiator, you're going to plug the leak. So if I'm a dealer, not just CarMax, anybody, you're going to do what the financially responsible thing for your shareholders and get that car in a saleable state and then get it off your lot and hope that nothing happens. And then there's a warranty, so if it does break, you know, they'll be compensated for it. But we don't like doing business that way. You know, when you're test driving a car and you say, well, is it a good car? I say, yeah, I think it's a good car, but I don't know. You don't want to listen to me. I'm selling you this car. You want to take it to a mechanic you trust, or I know several great mechanics out there. Take it to them, and I want them to find everything wrong with this car. And then after that, I also want you to get a warranty. You don't have to. You don't have to pay $3,000 for a warranty if your brother's a mechanic, or if you work for a shop, or if you have an inn somewhere where you can get work. A lot of people don't want warranties. But at a traditional dealership, it's included in the price. So you're paying more for this car, where maybe you don't value this at $3,000. And Frank, there's several people who sell warranties where they actually make money every time the car has a problem. I mean, many dealers, the way they work, and most people don't know this, is they'll sell you a warranty, call it $1,000. They have a mechanic that they pay $20 an hour. Their listed rate is $80 an hour. So their warranty says, when you come in, the warranty is that I'll give you my labor rate at half off. So every time there's a problem with your car, you come in and you're only paying $40 an hour, even though this guy's only paying $20. So he has an incentive to sell you a car that's not good, and every time you come in, because you have a warranty claim, he's making money. And you feel like you've got a warranty and that's all cool, but you're still paying $40 an hour for service. So, our view is everybody needs to do their work, and then in addition to doing your own work to ascertain whether it's a good car, we want to put a warranty on there. But that's up to you. And some people value it, some people don't.
So that's what I'm confused, because you just said you're taking all the work away from the consumer.
From the seller?
Seller of the car.
Yeah, the seller doesn't have to do any of that. The buyer should do.
The other question I had was, are you dealing with a lot of people that are upside down?
Yes. And they're, a lot of times did I answer your first question right though? I felt like towards the end there, like the seller doesn't deal with.
I've got a little history. My family's been in a Chevrolet dealer since 1958.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, but the seller doesn't do any of that. What I just said, that was all, we're managing
buyer
for
does
the
that.
buyer.
Yeah.
The buyer
should take
buyer
responsibility.
should
If you're
take
buying anything, I don't care what you're buying.
Yeah. Like,
That's your
you
responsibility.
You shouldn't believe that this car that you're buying is a good car. You shouldn't. And the dealer probably doesn't know either. You need to take it to someone else and have them really put some rigor into determining whether it's a good car. Sorry, what was your?
I assume you're having to deal a lot with people that are upside down.
Yeah. So if you're upside down on a trade in a traditional dealership, you're typically $3,000 less upside down with us, because that's kind of where
So are you using Blue Book at all, or you're just dealing with people that are getting quotes from other dealers that said, I'll do such and such?
We use every data point out there. So when you come in, we have a system that shows you Blue Book values, Black Book values, which are wholesale, as you probably know. Then the most important values we look at are actual values that these cars are selling for in the market. So if you came in or you told me what kind of car you had, I'd look at every single Auto Trader and Cars.com listing. My system does this for me of this 06 Honda Accord EXL that you have, and then it plots it on a graph. This is value. This is mileage. Should use the words. No. Yeah, value, mileage, and this is typically the price of your car. So if your car has 100,000 miles, if you look at, and these are all dots of other cars that are for sale, and it'll look like that. And this is your car, and so this is the average retail value. Maybe it's 8, and so we guide you to price that at about a 10% discount from retail. So we would say, I bet you CarMax gave you $4,200. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Well, you probably want to sell this for about $7,200. And so let's price it there. So for the buyer, it's a discount from retail. They'll probably negotiate you down to $69. So you're still getting, $2,700 more.
So what are you doing with people that are upside down? I mean, you're not going to give them what they owe on their car.
No. So
Are you helping them
if you're
out?
way upside down, sometimes there's nothing we can do. If you're a little upside down, we can roll the upside down piece into the next car you're buying. If you own another car, sometimes we can refinance your other car to pay for the upside down portion. I had a guy from Fort Eustis call me last week, and he has a Honda that's worth $7,000. He owns it, he has a title. He got his tax refund check, and he went out and he bought a Lexus. He paid $21,000 for it. And this guy has no business owning a $21,000 Lexus. And a lot of people get into this. A lot of people make mistakes, right? So he calls, he says, I just got my first bill, and I just want out of this thing. Well, we looked at the math. The dealer, he way overpaid for this car. We would sell it for 17, so, less our fee, he's gonna get 16, so he's 5,000 underwater. So his option, but he owns his car, that's worth 7. So we called Navy Fed on his behalf and said, hey, let me tell you the situation. This guy's got this car worth 7, can you refinance it for 5? put it towards the upside down portion of his Lexus and get him out of his Lexus? They said yes. So his options now are continue to pay, you know, $800 a month of this $21,000 Lexus that he has no business owning, default on the loan, or take a loan on the car that he owns so that he can get out of this mistake. And so instead of having a $21,000 loan, he'll have a $5,000 loan. The $21,000 loan is at like 14%. This $5,000 loan is going to get 7. So that's a tremendous solution. There's no dealer that would be able to offer that solution to this guy because nobody would roll that much negative equity.
So the other question I have is, you said you're basically representing sellers. You're taking their vehicle and you're selling it. Are you doing anything for buyers? Are you, like, if somebody's looking for a particular set of model years or set of options?
Yeah, I mean, we view ourselves a little bit as we're a real estate agent for a car, right? So we want to have a transaction happen. So we are doing the work for the seller, listing their vehicle. But if you come to me and you bring me your car and the check engine light's on, and you say, don't worry about that. If you take it to the mechanic, they can turn that off, and then we'll turn on for. It's zero motivation for me to sell that car for you without disclosing that problem to the buyer. So I don't really work for you. I work for me. I want my reputation to be intact. So I'm not going to sell that car without disclosing that problem, because I'm going to make $898 off your car if I sell it, and I'm going to lose a whole bunch of goodwill if that buyer buys it and 2 miles down the road the check engine light comes on. So we've had that happen. There's a car on our lot today that a guy dropped off, and another guy called, the guy who works with the guy who dropped it off, and he said, hey, I saw my colleague dropped his car off with you. I bought a car from you guys, and I love you guys. Let me tell you, the guy's unloading a problem. And so for a number of reasons he knew this. And so we went on a test drive, just us in this car, and what this other guy told us would happen when this car happened. And so we called the seller and we said, listen, we're not going to sell your car. You don't want my business not good enough for you? No, it's not. I mean, that's, it's our reputation. Like I said, all we are is our service. No one car is worth ruining our reputation.
I'm going to go through, I'm a little confused on how the price is agreed upon for selling the car.
So, which one of these worked?
Greenfish.
So when you, what kind of car do you want? I'll run my.
Let's do 2008 Civic EX.
2008 Honda Civic Coupe, sedan or hybrid?
Sedan.
EX. Mileage?
Gosh, good question. 55.
Okay, so let's see if we have wireless here. The black book value of that car is $10,000. That's what a wholesaler uses to value a car. The NADA retail is $13,700. Kelly Blue Book retail is $14,900. Manheim, which is an auction marketplace, is also 10. So because Black Book is 10 and Manheim is 10, my guess is that a dealer would offer you about 9 for it. They want to make about $1,000 when they unload the car at auction. The average retail value, if you look at allcars.com and AutoTrader listings for that car within 500 miles, and there are 82 of them, is $13,300. Okay? So the dealer is going to offer you 9. Average retail is $13,300. We would make, it's your car, so you pick pricing. So you could tell me you want to sell it for 15, and we'll list it for 15. Nobody's gonna buy it, but you can do that if you want. We typically recommend, if it's in good shape, about a 10% discount from retail. This is not, we're not a retailer, we're not a Honda dealer, right? So we want to go in, probably 12.2, 12 something, I don't know. And build in some negotiating room. And then, instead of 9, you're getting 12 less fee, so you're going to get 20-something under more than when you would. Now, so let's say we price it at 12.2. When a buyer comes in and is looking for a Honda, we show them the same data. We'll pull up the same program, totally transparent. This is why we and the seller agreed on this price. What do you think? And And people like that. People like the transparency. It just doesn't
So can the buyer say 11 now?
They can. And then we'll call you.
Come back to
We'll call you. And when you drop your car off, you might say 12.2, but anything over 11.5, sell it. So if we get an 11.9 offer, I'll call you. I'll always call you if we get an offer less than this number. If I can't reach you, then I go to our contract and I say, he's given us permission to sell it over 11.5. So we'll never sell it for 11.9 without you having a voicemail from us saying, hey, call me back ASAP, I've got an offer at 11.9. So we never I don't want people to think, I'm telling you 11.5, and now this guy just wants to do a deal, he's gonna sell it for 11.5. I will present every offer to you. I'll present you the offer from the guy on Craigslist who sends me an email and says, would he take 6? I'll present that to you. I know you're not gonna take it. I'm gonna present it to you. I want you to know that people are seeing your car. And about 25% of our cars sell at full ask. So a lot of times people who are financing a vehicle, they're looking really more for a payment than a price. So if we can get them a great rate from the bank and we can get them at this price, and 75% are negotiated. And it's up to you. And maybe over time, maybe you say, I'd like to list it at 12.9. It's a little too high in our opinion. But over time, we're going to call you after a week and we're going to say, hey, your car showed up in 14,000 Auto Trader searches and only 2 people clicked through. We think it's not priced well. Up to you to change the price or not. The pricing is always your call. We're never going to sell your car without you explicitly agreeing to an offer. And if 2 days after you drop the car off, you decide you don't want to do it anymore, just pick it up. If your car doesn't sell after 6 months, it will still work hard to sell it, but you can pick it up. So it's, our view is all this inventory on it's 220 cars. We get about 100 a month in. They're not our cars, but we have to treat them. We have to sell them as if they're ours, but they're not our cars. We have to take good care of them, and if you change your mind, you come pick it up.
About average what your turnaround time is for a car?
22 days. So some sell in a day or two, some sell in a few hours. If you look at our website at any point in time where it says like picture coming soon, but it already says pending, we love that. That means the car came on our site and someone was looking for that car. And we sold it quickly. If some cars take a while, and we don't have all the answers. You could drop us off a 08 low mileage Honda Accord, tell you to price it at 12.2, and you price it at 11.9, and it's beautiful. It just doesn't sell. And every 2 weeks you're going to call us and you're going to say, why isn't my Honda selling? I'm not going to have a great answer for you. And that's something, frankly, that's our biggest Achilles heel. It's like we don't have all the answers yet. We don't know why your car isn't selling. It just isn't. We're doing everything we can. And so, back to the customer service point, one thing we strongly believe is that we want every customer to have the trust in us that like our own mom would have in us. So that's what we talk about is, if I'm selling my mom's car and 6 months later it's still not sold, and then we go on a test drive and we get into an accident, and then we lose her plates, or someone steals the license plate, all these horrible things happen, my mom's always going to trust that I was working as hard as I could, and all this happened despite the hard work I put into it. So from the second a customer walks into our store, we want to start building that relationship so they feel like they trust me as much as my own mom trusts me. And so everything we do, all this stuff about our business plan, about making one price on every car, about selling each car the same, about offering as much protection as we can, all this is to build trust, because trust is just not in this industry. It's not something that people have, and no disrespect to hard work that your family's done in Chevy dealership, and there are great dealers out there.
And
we know a ton.
And in all fairness, it's a rural dealership, very different from any city dealer.
Right.
And I've been to Chevrolet school. I sold cars for them for 7 years.
Yeah.
Believe me, I learned more how not to sell by going to Chevrolet sales school than.
Yeah. And everything I've said about dealers, there are phenomenal dealers out there. There are dealers who care a ton about customer service and who keep their salespeople for decades and who do everything they can to give you as much for the trade-in as possible. But at the end of the day, it's just math. Like a traditional dealer cannot give you the same deal that we give you because they own this car, they own it. And so they're gonna lose money on a lot of cars. They have to make a lot of money on the others to average out at a place where it makes sense for them to be in business. And so they're not crooks, they're not ripping you off, it's just
The
mad.
worst part about it is they don't own the car, the bank owns the car.
Yeah.
You sales plan everything, and the
Right.
percentages kill you.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, you have that car on the lot too long, all of a sudden, it's like, you just gotta take it to auction. And so, you know, that's another big piece of it is, you know, the reason a dealer has to offer you this low number is because the supply chain of used vehicles is expensive. You trade in your Honda to a Mercedes dealer, he doesn't want it, he sells it to a wholesaler, makes a couple $100. Wholesaler picks it up, maybe puts it on a truck, that's another $100. It goes to an auction takes a couple $100, goes to another wholesaler, goes to another dealer, maybe it gets to the final dealer and it turns out it needs a radiator because there's a hole in it. All this stuff happens, and someone's paying for it that whole time. And so there's this long and expensive supply chain of used vehicles, and our goal is to just kind of connect the buyer and the seller together and cut the inefficient
I
supply
mean,
chain.
are you franchising your business model yet?
We don't know yet. I mean, we have 3 stores. We have, one in Chesterfield, one in Richmond, and one in Chesapeake. We just opened a couple months ago. Come check it out.
Might have to.
Yeah, military highway. We have a lot of military business down here. Obviously, it's a great concept for you're deploying. You've got this car, either unload it, take way less, or park it on our lot. We'll keep it there for your deployment, and if it doesn't sell, you can come pick it up. It will sell, but if it doesn't, you can pick it up. And if it does, we'll wire you the money, and you're good. And you sell it at the price that you're comfortable selling it for. So we've been very pleasantly surprised at the feedback we've gotten from the market down here. We really came down here because people from this area were driving all the way to Richmond to drop their cars off before getting deployed, and they said, "Please open up Hampton Roads," so we did. Thank you guys. It was great. Great discussion.